encouraged by. Haven't you heard about Focal Online TV?
You say Focal Online TV?
Focal Online TV is located within a Tobo village community along the Japanese highway.
Tell me more about the platform.
This platform, called Focal Online TV Daily Edition of Inside the Print Media, does not encourage any form of dialogue between the viewers and the presenters.
Oh, you mean nobody calling there?
No, you can't call on a show. Let me talking out like when we're no calling there. So all you can do is you will listen to the news, and they can also encourage you to buy the newspaper to listen to the news in details.
But do you do viewer recognition at times?
Oh yes, we do viewer recognition. When you are watching, we notify you, and sometimes we even appreciate you on a show, telling you thank you for always following us. We also encourage you to share the live stream, because the more you share the live stream, we transform and we transition ourselves as a broadcast team as well.
Wow. So when can I better get this program you are talking about?
This program is aired every Monday to Friday at 10 a.m. to 10:45. The program runs for 45 minutes.
Wow.
And guess what?
Wow.
We bring you hot stories of our trending situation within our country, Liberia. Imagine hearing stories from Hot Pepper newspaper, from the Daily Observer newspaper, from Front Page Africa. Are you a lover of Front Page Africa?
Oh yes, I'm a lover of
Front Page Africa, and the Women Voices, and a lot more. Not forgetting international news, BBC,
wow.
CNN, ABC News. We bring you headlines from those standpoints.
Wow, that is very, very, very amazing.
So we say, join us every day on the daily edition of Inside the Print Media at 10 a.m. with the headlines of top stories in our country and the world at large on Focal Online TV.
Hello dear, my name is K. Lyndon Toba. I'm in search of a platform where I can get credible information of our daily happenings in Liberia and the world at large.
Hello, K. Lyndon Toba. My name is encouraged by. Haven't you heard about Focal Online TV?
You say Focal Online TV?
Focal Online TV is located within a Tobo village community along the Japanese highway.
Tell me more about the platform.
This platform, called Focal Online TV Daily Edition of Inside the Print Media, does not encourage any form of.
Hello dear, my name is K. Lyndon Toba. I'm in search of a platform where I can get credible information of our daily happenings in Liberia and the world at large.
Hello, K. Lyndon Toba. My name is encouraged by. Haven't you heard about Focal Online TV?
You say Focal Online TV?
Focal Online TV is located within a Tobo village community along the Japanese highway.
Tell me more about the platform.
This platform, called Focal Online TV Daily Edition of Inside the Print Media, does not encourage any form of dialogue between the viewers and the presenters.
Oh, you mean nobody calling there?
No, you can't call on a show. Let me talking out like when we're no calling there. So all you can do is you will listen to the news, and they can also encourage you to buy the newspaper to listen to the news in details.
But do you do viewer recognition at times?
Oh yes, we do viewer recognition. When you are watching, we notify you, and sometimes we even appreciate you on a show, telling you thank you for always following us. We also encourage you to share the live stream, because the more you share the live stream, we transform and we transition ourselves as a broadcast team as well.
Wow. So when can I better get this program you are talking about?
This program is aired every Monday to Friday at 10 a.m. to 10:45. The program runs for 45 minutes.
Wow. And
guess what?
Wow.
We bring you hot stories of our trending situation within our country, Liberia. Imagine hearing stories from Hot Pepper newspaper, from the Daily Observer newspaper, from Front Page Africa. Are you a lover of Front Page Africa?
Oh yes, I'm a lover of
Front Page Africa, and the women voices, and a lot more. Not forgetting international news, BBC, CNN, ABC News. We bring you headlines from those standpoints.
Wow, that is very, very, very amazing.
So we say, join us every day on the daily edition of Inside the Print Media at 10 a.m. with the headlines of top stories in our country and the world at large on Foca Online TV.
Nigerians, it's such a pleasure to be here this morning to bring you the program Inside the Print Media on Foca Online TV. This morning we are very, very excited to be here to bring you all of the trending stories with regard to the print media. So there are a lot of stories here we have in our possession this morning. Like we always provide details to you from our regular paper. We have the Daily Observer newspaper in our possession this morning. We have the New Dawn newspaper in our possession. We have the Hot Pepper newspaper in our possession. And lastly, we have the Front Page African newspaper. Let's take a short break. When we come back, we begin fill you in with developments from all of these newspapers as well. Okay, welcome back, folks. So let's go over the Daily Observer newspaper this morning. There is a very beautiful story there. President Boubacar appoints President Joseph Boakai has appointed the War Crime Code Director. Who is that person? The content of this particular story will give us detail. President Boakai has appointed Councillor Jennifer Masakwe as the Executive Director of the Office of the War and Economic Crime Court in Liberia. In a letter written to Councillor Masakwe, President Boakai expressed confidence in Councillor Masakwe's ability to spearhead the court and ensure that justice is served rightly to victims of the 14-year civil war. Consistent with the executive order establishing this office, we trust you will expedite its full implementation, the letter said. Councillor Masakwe's appointment came barely a month after President Boakai signed an executive order to establish the War and Economic Crime Court intended to penalize those who committed atrocity during the conflict era. When accepted, Councillor Masakwe will be the first director of the office that will be tasked with setting up a court and conducting research and studies in consultation with international partners. As you are aware, the establishment of the Office and War and Economic Crime Court in Liberia represents a historic milestone in the fight against corruption and impunity in this country, President Boakai remarked. I am convinced that combating these corrosive practices in our society will contribute to peace, sustainable development, and prosperity. You are expected to use your best effort to ensure the success of this initiative. I trust that you will carry out your duties with utmost diligence, dedications, and loyalty to your country. According to the executive order signed by President Boakai, the Office of War and Economic Crime Court shall be headed by an executive director who shall be an astute lawyer of impeccable character, knowledgeable in Liberian constitutional and criminal law, and capable of working with international community in formulating the mechanism, procedure, and processes necessary for establishing a war crimes court and anti-corruption court for Liberia. As head of the War and Economic Crime Court, Councillor Masakwe will set up a model of an international tribunal for war crimes, including the jurisdictions and status of the Special War Crime Court for Liberia, consistent with and in harmony with international models that have been used for similar trials of war crimes. Councillor Masakwe will liaise with international partners in sourcing the funding for the Special War Crime Court for Liberia. Between 1989 and 2003, the 14-year civil war killed an estimated 250,000 people. Many more fled neighboring countries as refugees. Women and girls were raped, abused, and killed. Warlords recruited child soldiers to fight for them. The war ended in 2003 with a call to establish the War and Economic Crime Court to ensure that those who committed these atrocities were penalized. The War and Economic Crime Court is one of the recommendations of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission that was set up to investigate the 40 years of civil conflict. The signing of the executive order by President Bouazizi was welcomed by activists and civil society groups that have long advocated for prosecution of those who committed atrocity during the conflict. Once up and running, the court could operate in Liberia in line with international standards, with backup from international institutions, including the United Nations. They will also try those accused of economic crimes. So, with this being said, this is how we transition over to another headlines on the Daily Observer newspaper. Dismissed Legis Deputy Director Smith sues Bouazizi's government. Dismissed Legis Deputy Director sues Bouazizi's government. Wow, Weber Smith is suing the government of President Joseph Jomo Bouazizi for what we don't know until we read the content of this presentation. The Civil Law Court has set a hearing date for June 29 to review a declaratory judgment lawsuit filed by William Smith, a former Deputy Director General at the Liberia Institute of Statistics and Geoinformation Services, against the administrations of President Joseph Bouazizi. Smith was dismissed in 2023 by former President Weah following allegations made on Spoon TV show and network communication linking him to financial misconduct regarding funds designated for enumerators. In his lawsuit, Smith is seeking reinstatement, arguing that his termination by Weah contravenes the act establishing legis and Article 89 of the Liberian Constitution, which maintains a national legislature to establish autonomous agency with internal autonomy. The lawsuit contends with Smith's appointment as deputy director. Deputy director was authorized by Legis Board of Directors, a power granted under the June 4, 2018 Act. He argues that while dismissals in such position require just cause, the Act does not grant the president authority to dismiss him or the Director General, as the power lies in the Legis Board. Furthermore, the lawsuit says that President Bouazizi dismissal of Smith without President dismissal of Smith without due process violate the constitutional provision regarding the removal of officials from legislatively created agency. The lawsuit highlights violations of the Act of Legis, particular section 50.A41 and 2, which detail the president powers over the organization. But in the lawsuit, the petitioner is seeking his reinstatement by the court, arguing that his dismissal by former President Weah violates the Act establishing Legis and Article 89 of the Liberian Constitution delegates authority to the national legislature to establish autonomous agencies and thereby create autonomy. According to the suit, to dismiss one who occupies a position, it must be a cause, but the Act of Legis does not grant power to the president of Liberia to dismiss him or the director general. Rather, it is the board of Legis. The suit further argued that for the president to claim dismissal of the petitioner for cause in the absence of due process of the law is a violation of Chapter 3, Article 20 of the Constitution of Liberia, especially when he exercised a power that the law did not gave to him. Article 89 of the Liberia Constitution. The petitioner was never accorded due process of law, violates the Act of Legis, Section 58.41 and 2. The lawsuit alleges the Act clearly states the power of the president in keeping with this Act, and the president shall exercise such power as follows: appoint initially the board of directors and its chairman, with the board becoming self-appointing after that upon recommendation of the Director General, appoint a qualified Director General, initially uncapping with Section 58.2 above. After that, the authority to make subsequent appointment shall vest in the board of directors. Smith similar legal challenge because the statutory requirements in 2004 relating to legislators leadership appointment. He argues that the subsequent president do not have the jurisdiction to remove the Director General, Deputy Director General, or board members without breaching the Legis Act. Alleging a flagrant disregard for the Legis Act, Smith has said that his rights were violated through an unlawful dismissal by former President Weah. The lawsuit aims to address these alleged illegal actions and the ongoing consequences for the petitioner. With this being said, this is how we move over to the New Dawn newspaper. White House Special Envoy orders slammed with 1 million in damages. White House Special Envoy orders slammed with 1 million in damages. The case is related to a social media post now taking center stage in the live court of social media. Mr. Mohamed Balado Bad, the president's special envoy on investment in Liberian musician Mr. Franklin Harris, Edward Harris, alias Panto, has been slammed with a $1 million United States lawsuit for damages for defamation by attachment for defaming a Liberian girl child. Ms. Serena Ware, by and through her biological parent, Mr. Stephen Red, and Mrs. Eliza Crackwood of the city of Monrovia filed the action for damages before the civil law court in the State Judiciary Circuit City in East June term of court. Wednesday, 19 June 2024, a hearing on the motion to dismiss for lack of capacity the minor child parents to file a lawsuit on her behalf without a court decree of guardianship filed by Panto's lawyer and Mohamed Ba lawyers that the complaint should be dismissed on ground that comment made in the form of a question cannot be termed as defamation. The motion was argued by the opposing sides, with the plaintiff lawyer arguing that the Facebook post was not a question but a comment that defamed the minor child and that Mohammed's publication was a deliberate attack on the integrity and moral character of the child that disgraced, degraded, and reduced her name, character, and reputation among other peers, family, and friends, the community at large. Mohammed Ba argued that caption of the post was regular Liberian parlance, that was an expression in form of a question cannot be considered defamation, whereas Franklin Harris, second defendant counsel Rodina Poor, contended that the music did not defame the girl child and therefore the case should be dismissed. The motion to dismiss was denied in favor of the plaintiff, Ms. Serena Ray, and the matter was ruled to trial on its merit. It can be recalled that on Wednesday, April 10, 2024, Facebook was flooded with comments in response to a post made by Mohamed Bad on his Facebook page with photos of Representative Yeka Koluba and a Liberian female high school student in uniform with the caption, "But Yeke get Gimo, but Yeke that baby, watch till the end." Short story. The post, which generated public debate, elicited several opinions. Franklin Harris alias Panto, after produced a musical line that has been widely played across the world, paying explosive sexual and degrading of the girl child. The young Lord Chambers represented the plaintiff, and the lawyer in court were Counsel Mark M. Mabi, Counsel Moriah Yakula, Anthony Fesia Harris, and Anthony Solomon Finan, while represented by the first defendant Mohamed Bai, Benjamin Stewart, and second defendant represented by Sam Young Harris and Counsel Rodden Poole. With this being said, this is how we move over to another headlines on the New Dawn newspaper. New electricity tariff soon. New electricity tariff soon. The Liberia Electricity Regulatory Commission is considering new tariff for electricity after a pending review. The Liberia Electricity Regulatory Commission is considering new tariff for electricity after a pending review. So that story can be found within the New Dawn newspaper. For those of you who are interested in that particular development, you can go and grab yourself a copy of each of these newspaper and get yourself abreast with the entire details regarding that particular story. That just gave you the summary of this particular story uh, within the New Dawn newspaper. The Liberia Electricity Regulatory Commission is to shortly embark on the tariff review for the Liberia Electricity Corporation, which will incorporate emerging economic parameters to determine new tariffs. Addressing a press conference here Wednesday, June 19, 2024, at the Liberia Electricity Regulatory Commission office in Congo Town, the chairman of LEC Board of Commissioners, Dr. Lauren D. Siaku, said that in keeping with the 2015 electricity law of Liberia, the Board of Commissioners in May 2021 approved the electricity tariff regulation and the multi-year tariff methodology. He explained that face charges collected thus far by LEC have been used by the corporation to extend electricity to 15 gap communities in Montserrat and reinforce low and medium voltage network, including the installations of transformer pole and street lights. Dr. Siako indicates that this has significantly contributed to the provision of electricity to gap community, which was usually outside of areas covered by donor-funded electrification projects. According to him, the tariff regulations and multi-year tariff methodology require that tariff approved by commissions remain valid for 3 years. With that, he explained that it means that the approved tariff currently paid by customers will expire on December 31, 2024. Therefore, in adherence to the regulation, the Commission will embark on a tariff review for LEC in the coming months to set up and approve a new price level for electricity for customers connected to LEC grid. The exercise will review all of the cost driver, assess the efficiency of their costs, and incorporate emerging economic parameters in determining the tariff. Therefore, the goal of the pending review, which is the same as the earlier review, is to ensure that the price paid by various customer categories reflects the just and prudent costs incurred by LEC in the provision of electricity to its customers, Dr. Siapo points out. He continues that the electricity regulations and multi-year tariff methodology provide a framework for approving all tariffs through elaborate principle, methodology, processes, and other terms of supply within the electricity sector. He adds that in December 2021, the Board of Commissioners approved new rates and charges for 5 categories of customers within LEC network, which took effect on January 1, 2022. It disclosed that this was the first time in the history of Liberia electricity sector that the cost of electricity was decided through a process that considered all the parameters in generation, transmission, and distribution. Yet the Siako note that the 5 categories of customer announced were social, prepaid, residential, postpaid, residential, prepaid, non-residential, postpaid, commercial, and medium voltage customer. These are the current tariff. Social customer 0.15 per kilowatt per hour, no face charge. Prepaid residential 0.24 per kilowatt hour with a monthly face charge of 2.48. Postpaid residential is 0.24 per kilowatt hour and a monthly charge of $10. Prepaid non-residential 0.22 kilowatt per hour monthly with a charge of $10. Also, the postpaid commercial is at 0.22 per kilowatt hour and a monthly charge of $12, and medium voltage customer was sent to 0.19 kilowatt per hour monthly with 50 United States dollars. He details. He says that these tariff and charges duly approved by the Commission will have been paid by customers in the various categories since January 2022, adding that the fee charges are intended to cover a portion of LEC LEC operation and facilitate the expansions of network to unserved and undeserved communities in LEC operational areas. With this being said, this is how we move over to the front page Africa newspaper. Liberian Senate faces growing pressures amid conflicting account over retreat funds. Liberian Senate faces growing pressure amid conflicting accounts over retreat funds. So this is what the front page Africa newspaper is actually reporting this morning. There is a conflicting account from senators with regard to the recently with regard to the recent retreat that was conducted in Buchanan. Since the conclusion of the retreat, there has been a lot of conflicting statements from a lot of the senators who were here. One senator is saying X, Y, and Z, and another senator is saying this and that. So their accounts or their narrative does not cooperate with each other. So since then there has been a lot of statements from within the media with regard to that particular issue. So let's see what the front page Africa newspaper is saying. The Liberian Senate faces increasing criticism over funds used for the recent retreat held in Buchanan. Report indicate that the Senate spent a hefty sum for the two-day event. Exiled Liberian activist Martin Colley has claimed that the Senate is not disclosing the actual amount used. In response to this allegation, several senators have spoken out to provide clarity. Senator Amara Connor of Bakuru County, who chairs the Senate Public Account Committee, announced on a Facebook page that only $50,000 was spent on the retreat. Senator Connor detailed that the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning issued 2 checks to the Liberian Senate Operations account at the Central Bank of Liberia on June 5, 2024, totaling to $565,000. The first check was $290,000 was intended for full constituency visits throughout the year. The second check was $275,000 was for committee engagement, and the second retreat combined. All funds were approved budgeted expenditures in the fiscal year 2024 budget signed into law by the president. However, in several Facebook exchanges with Mountain King Colley, Connor announced that after careful review, he realized that the Senate was given an excess for domestic daily subsistence allowance and was refunding it to the government of Liberia revenue account. I am ahead of you on the reimbursement. I suggested it to colleagues and I have gone ahead quietly to do so. My assistant is on his way to CBL, Central Bank of Liberia, to refund 318,000 out of the 328,000 they gave us for DDSA into the GOL revenue account. I have many 1,407 I have earned over the years. Nevertheless, no law says that 54. If there is one, I suggest you post the specific section. Travel rates are not legislated. Colley responded, Senator American, it is good that you have finally agreed to reform after we uploaded the law that has been violated. We do this not to chase after anyone, but to ensure that the people's interests are protected. We call on Senator Yomli Kanga Lawrence, Senator Abraham Darius DeLong, and all other senators to also refund the people's money. With whom rest on this. Senator Yomli must also produce a comprehensive financial report of all of the transactions for the hundreds of thousands lavished in recent times. Senator Moi's account. Addressing a news conference at the Capitol building in Monrovia on Wednesday, June 19, Senator Prince Moi explained the delay in Senate official response to public allegation was due to gathering reports from various committees set up to head the retreat. We recall that on May 2, the Secretary of the Senate, Nyangolo Sengwe, requested that the Ministry of Finance and Development plan to make available $290,000 from his constituency visit line items in his budget. The ministry did not release the funds, stating that the national budget for fiscal 2024 was not yet concluded. Senator Moy explained that Senate later finalized its budget initially at 10,227,571 dollars as a draft. The Senate decided to remove the operation line in the budget and replace it with legislative committee hearing amounting to $2,020,000. Following the passage of the national budget, the Senate budget will restore to include 45,000 each for vehicles for senators, in keeping with the Senate policy. The current Senate budget stands at $16,527,371 compared to $21,880,922 as an outturn for the last fiscal year 2023. We emphasize that the Senate strive for transparency and integrity, aligning with the Unity Party government values. Over $2 million for committee hearing. The Senate replaced for operation lines in the budget with committee hearing, allocating $2,020,000. Senator requested $275,000 from this budget for the holding of committee hearing after submitting a detailed budget to the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning on May 30 this year. Committee hearings are conducted to confirm presidential nominees, seek relevant information from public officials, and address national concerns in Liberia. The retreat too. Senator Moy admitted that no detailed budget was finalized by the Senate when both requests were made. He disclosed that the leadership of the Senate decided and proposed a retreat without finalizing plan. On June 3rd, the Senate requested the Ministry of Finance to disburse $275,000 from its committee hearing in line item. The Senate leadership later decided to recast the budget to accommodate the retreat and other operations. From the recast budget, $300,000 was given to each senator $3,000 was given to each senator for committee hearing, amounting to $90,000 in total. An additional $220,000 was approved to senators heading various committees to enhance the work during the 3-day committee activities in Grand Bassa, totaling $150,000 distributed during the retreat. Senator Moy disclosed that the retreat expenses included handling, transporting cash to pay the retreat committees and other services provided DSA for participants, totaling $88,000. $10,000 was given to the Secretariat of the Senate to enhance its work at the retreat. Additional expenses included $30,000 for national press, $4,379 for stationery and supplies, $16,379 for administrative expenses, administrative costs at capital bidding. From the $275,000 received from the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, additional expenditure included financing and burglary investigation at the offices of 3 members. Light bulbs were purchased to improve lighting at the Senate wing. $10,000 was used to repair the generator, and an unspecified amount was spent on the ongoing IT system and Wi-Fi. Funds were also used to prepare bid documents for procuring vehicles for Senators Moy emphasized that those house outkeeping expenses were disclosed for transparency and accountability. Senator Moy reported that out of the $50,000 received for the retreat, only $42,840 were used. Duty expenses included $15,970 for accommodation and US $1,800 for car rental and gasoline, $3,000 for hall rental, $950 for cleaning materials, $2,000